strep throat medicine for the win.
Hello there, this is Drew, here with my little sister, Ashley.
Hello.
You had strep throat?
Yeah, thanks to my child, he gave the whole family strep throat, so. Amoxicillin, though, whoop, killing it.
Yeah. Did he get that at the new daycare?
Yeah, apparently it's called like the daycare plague. Kids get so many colds and sicknesses up until they're like 2, so he's just giving us everything he gets from daycare.
Yeah, well, he's going to have a super immune system, and so are you.
Yeah.
Eventually.
At some point.
This is New Release, a TV and sometimes movie podcast where, Ashley?
We watch shows and want to show them with the world to make them feel special or something. To make them feel special?
Yeah,
magical?
I set you up for failure there because we're not watching a TV show this week, number one. I used the old setup, number 2, and we don't even do the podcast every week. So
really you failed, and then in turn, if I fail, it's okay because you started it.
Yeah. It's a podcast and YouTube show where we do whatever we want. Typically, that is watch a movie or a TV show and then talk about it.
And make it feel special.
Yes. There you go. You are finally embracing the special part of New Release.
I like magical better, but special's fine.
So Magic Edition. You see that all the time on like DVD covers.
Yeah, in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Extra Magic Edition.
Check this out, since we're talking about DVD covers for no reason.
I can't see it.
New Release. Lady Bird. Hot off the presses.
It's a pretty good one. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Do you like this movie?
Yeah, it's awesome. Do you have do you have a DVD player?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to control your own media before it disappears from whatever platform you're getting it from.
That's true. That's true.
It's really fun. I mean, it's like putting on a record or just any kind of going to a video store is still really satisfying to like be able to browse something and then put it in your DVD player. And I don't know, like it feels like nostalgic at this point.
Yeah, and then you can watch all the different special editions that you wouldn't get. Do they have like a director cut where they talk about Lady Bird the whole time it's playing?
A commentary?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah. I haven't watched this one yet, but hopefully Greta Gerwig does a commentary.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Special features, writer, director Greta Gerwig and cinematographer Sam Levy do an audio commentary.
Oh, nice.
So.
Yeah, I missed that. I mean, I only watched a few of them, or listened and watched a few of them, and one of them was that horror movie where the creatures would like eat your teeth. Do you remember?
Langoliers?
No.
Eat your teeth.
They're like tiny, and they'd like eat teeth. Like tooth fairies? Like the evil tooth fairy, maybe? Or something.
Darkness Falls? No,
yes.
Oh, is that what that was?
Uh-huh.
I remember that because it had Anya from Buffy in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember like being excited for the movie, but it was pretty forgettable otherwise.
Yeah, but the little creatures were cool. Little teeth creatures.
What episode of New Release are we on?
152.
So this is 252 episode of New Release. Prime or not Prime?
Not Prime. Divisible by a bunch of things, I'm sure.
Good job. Yeah.
Do I get a woo? That's my favorite one.
Ride the wave. So the main topic of discussion this week is going to be the hit horror movie Sinners that, for me personally, kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. It
definitely came out of nowhere in terms of how good it is and how well received it's been, and it's making a lot of money. So I should have been anticipating this more, but luckily for my own enjoyment, I just kind of it kind of snuck up on me, and then all of a sudden it was just getting like so much buzz that it was impossible to ignore.
And I had to go see it by myself. The first movie I've ever seen by myself in theaters.
We are going to get to that. But before we talk about Sinners and go deep into our reaction to that, we've haven't really talked about any of the new TV shows that have come out. We mentioned Black Mirror, doing an episode on Black Mirror. Have you watched any episodes of the
No.
latest season of that?
No.
None.
None.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've watched all but one.
Okay. Did you
Yeah.
watch it in order or did you skip around?
I skipped episode 3 at first because it was a longer one, and then I came back to it, and then I got 20 minutes in and turned it off. That's the only one I didn't finish.
Okay.
I really wasn't enjoying Hotel Reverie. I'm not loving, frankly, any of the episodes so far.
Oh.
The last episode of the season, do you remember the like Star Trek inspired USS Callister
Yeah,
one?
but I didn't watch that one.
Why?
You kept telling me to watch it, and I was like, yeah, I'll get to it, and then I never did.
Oh, weird. Well, it's like there's a few episodes. I think the other one's called Juniper or has Juniper in the name that are like that everyone constantly brings up as the best of the entire series, and USS Callister is one of those. So
Okay.
they made a sequel to that.
Okay.
Or I don't even know exactly where it falls in to the story, but it's definitely a continuation, and it's 90 minutes long.
Whoa, movie.
Pretty
Okay.
much, yeah, pretty much a mini movie.
An
Okay,
hour
well,
and a
are
half
you
is a full movie, a rom-com.
true? Yeah, yeah. The one I stopped watching was hour 17, and I got 20 minutes in, and there weren't really any like stakes. I'm sure there were some other twists and turns that were going to happen, but I was like, I'm not going to get hooked just by like a gimmick.
That's not the Issa Rae one, is it?
It is the Issa Rae one.
No, that's what
Yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
to see the most. Okay.
It might turn into being pretty good. The Paul Giamatti one that I watched after that wasn't really doing it for me until the very end. So they always have the chance to kind of like have a fun twist or
But they usually hook you
surprise
pretty
you.
fast, I feel like. Or like you want to at least finish it. It's interesting
Yeah,
that you
because
didn't want
of
to finish it.
because they have like an interesting gimmick.
Yeah.
I've found some of the future tech and just the premises
Premi.
the premise of this season to be not that interesting.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's a bummer.
That's the first one. The first episode is very depressing. Just kind of about like,
Is it about children?
no, it's about losing a loved one and having a version of them, bringing a version of them back or keeping them around and with some strings attached,
Pet
which
Cemetery.
sort of. There's been other episodes of Black Mirror with that same premise. I feel like the satire is just really on the nose, and a lot of the episodes, it's not that like new or interesting. The Issa Rae one has a lot of the same movie studio satire as, say, The Studio.
Okay. Bummer.
Which, speaking of,
Yeah.
have you been keeping up with The Studio?
Yes. Watched the last one last night.
Okay, so we're on which episode number was that?
6, 7, 8? I
No.
don't know. Honestly, don't know.
Okay, well, I'm one behind. I'm caught up through this last episode.
Okay. Just you
But-
wait. They're always
Yeah.
so stress-inducing, but I like them.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do a full season review at some point. It's an interesting show to talk about because I have had my ups and downs with my appreciation for it, but not like White Lotus because there's no real ongoing narrative,
No.
which I think is to its benefit.
Yeah.
The whole season isn't about making the Kool-Aid movie.
Right.
For
Which
example.
I thought it would be. And I was like,
Yeah.
But
I know,
you
we're
took
so,
something
like-
so different, which is very cool.
I love that about it. We're so trained with prestige modern TV that like it's going to be all about this ongoing, heavy dramatic plot. And in this case, it's just like each episode is either skewering like a different aspect of filmmaking or a different aspect of his job, of the Hollywood system. So I
Yeah.
thought that was a really cool choice. And that keeps it from being like too dependent on whether you're bought into the plot to want to keep going.
Yeah. The Wonder.
But yeah. I would say my one reservation with the show early on was just like, why are we rooting for Seth Rogen's character or not?
Yeah.
But yeah. But he's the only person who could pull it off. He couldn't pull it off in that other show we watched.
Oh my gosh, that's so bad. Platonic.
Platonic.
Terrible.
He's his superpower is playing unlikable characters and making you still root for them.
Yeah.
Or buffoonish characters or whatever in this case. So yeah, that'll be fun to talk about. Let me see what else is on the list.
I watched The Residence.
What is that?
Shonda Rhimes murder mystery in the White House.
Okay, I did hear briefly about this show.
I finished it yesterday.
Okay, you watched all of it.
That's why I'm not watching Black Mirror. I do recommend. Thought it got a bit lengthy. I wish it was like half the amount of episodes because they're pretty long episodes and it's a lot of dialogue, which is good. It's kind of quirky. It reminds me a little bit of like character development wise, like a Wes Anderson, but not there. Like it's very like Shonda Rhimes, but the main actress is incredible and the characters are interesting. But they do a lot of like back and forth flashbacks and they do it a little too much for me. So I feel like they could have cut it in like half. But all in all, I really liked it. It's easy to watch. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and you found that we've seen and discussed on the podcast a million different murder mystery shows. Was setting it in the White House a fun new gimmick? Yeah,
that was really cool. It was really interesting. The filming was incredible. They showed all the different rooms, or like the rooms in the show, and how everything operates throughout the White House, which I thought was fascinating, although probably not super realistic. And it's not gory by any means. There's like one murder in the beginning, and then it's just like trying to figure out who did it the whole rest of the show. So I liked it. It was good.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. What about, did we do Last of Us for the podcast? We probably did. Maybe Derek and I did it.
I think you and Derek did it because I watched the first episode.
Okay. So you didn't finish season 1 of.
No. No.
Season 2 is out and I haven't watched any yet, but I am starting to get a little FOMO about like, it seems like people are liking it even more this season from what I gather.
Is that why Pedro Pascal had that commercial? The AirPods commercial? Or I don't remember what it was.
There's no doubt about Pedro Pascal's trajectory. He's going straight up.
Yeah.
Whether the show kind of complements that or not, I don't know. But yeah, he's on top of the world. Until the backlash comes, I'm sure, with the Baby Yoda movie. We'll see if that's too much Pascal.
There's going to be a Wes Anderson movie. Did you see that?
The Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah.
Yes. I've seen a few trailers for that.
Yep.
I've seen every Wes Anderson movie. I've seen pretty much all of them for the last 10 plus years, going back to like New York City. I saw, which one would have that?
Life Aquatic.
That would have been Moonrise Kingdom. Not that long. We weren't in New York for Life Aquatic. You were in high school.
I can't remember when it came out. Are you sure?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay.
You can confirm that. But so I always love his movies. Always love the writing. Like, it's just impossible not to feel like he's a parody of himself at this point. And I'm probably most intrigued in this new movie about Michael Cera's inclusion.
Yeah, me too.
But otherwise, it just feels very much like Wes Anderson doing his thing.
Yeah, and I kind of liked. I wish you'd go back to a little bit. What's your Jason? Your favorite? Well, not your favorite one. Maybe your favorite.
Rushmore.
Yeah, I kind of miss that kind of Wes Anderson. I think it's getting almost too artsy for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because the last one we saw, I didn't really enjoy. It kind of bummed me out that happened. But
Asteroid City.
Yeah.
Did you watch that one? Yeah. And it's like, obviously his movies are like staged to the most extreme degree, and they're and there's always different, like a nesting egg within the movie. So that one, like there was a play about the movie and like. All of that, I feel, is starting to wear a little thin. Good for him for just making exactly the type of movie that he wants.
Yeah, what he wants, yeah.
And so, but I found that, like, kind of not having complete control over the aesthetic in the world was to his benefit, making it a little rough around the edges as far back as, like, Tenenbaums, before he was just, like, Life Aquatic, I'd say, is the tipping point where it's not style over substance, but it's like style forward.
Is Darjeeling Limited before or after Life Aquatic?
I think after, but I might be wrong.
That one I really liked.
Yeah, and that one leans into the aesthetics a lot as well. But now they just, at least Darjeeling, like that felt very much connected to the setting. Now the settings feel like fabricated from his head, and again, like it's a beautiful, ornate world to spend time in. But
yeah, Aquatic was 2004, so I was still in high school. But Darjeeling Limited, I was in college. It's 2007.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm excited. I mean, I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
My excitement remains the same.
I'm probably not. I'll wait for your review and then base it on that.
Well, the last thing I wanted to mention, of course, is the NBA playoffs. Now that you've moved away from Denver, are y'all rooting for the Nuggets, or what are y'all doing?
I'm kind of rooting for the Grizzlies.
Oh, that's a dumb choice.
Only because what's his name?
Was it the 50-point blowout that got you on the bandwagon, or
I just really like
blowout?
how Ja Morant plays. He's awesome. He's like fun to watch. He's like cool style. But yeah, I mean, I'm not rooting for the Nuggets. Like I should still root for the Nuggets, but I haven't been watching a lot of the playoffs.
Well, y'all moved to the absolute, like, the site of the tragic
I know
death of Luka Doncic in the city of Dallas.
Yeah. He might come. Maybe he'll come back.
He won't come back.
Yeah.
There's zero chance of that. He could end up
anywhere. Well, LA's probably going
to
to win, so, I'm sure he'll stay there.
I think if you want to root for a fun player that might actually make it past round one, you should root for Anthony Edwards.
Well, I rooted for him last time, and he didn't do very well. So.
Yeah.
But he is playing.
He is playing Luka. He had an awesome dunk in the last game, even though they lost. But I would root for the Thunder, my old team, who are demolishing the Grizzlies.
I know.
I think they've won by a combined 70 points in the first two games.
That's Sports Corner.
Yeah, let's get to Sinners before the last listener tunes out.
Yes, I lied to you. I don't believe in magic. Ghosts, demons. Just power. Somebody please take me.
We gonna kill every last one of you.
Okay. Did that make you dizzy?
No.
Do you have a lawnmower running in your room?
Outside. You can hear it? Dang.
Yeah.
I don't know how to solve that. There's lawnmowers all the time. Like, every house has cleaning going on constantly. But actually, there is one in our backyard. He just let himself in.
Well, there you go.
Good thing Willow's inside.
A free trim. First off, as you mentioned, this movie was getting so much hype that you finally broke the seal and went to a movie by yourself in a new city in IMAX, right?
Yeah.
And so just
Gotta do it big.
take me through your theatrical experience.
Well, we went to see it at 8 p.m., which is pretty late for me. So
oh, wow.
right there.
Yeah.
So I took a nap during the day for a little bit to get ready for the movie.
Smart.
And then I had to do it up. So I got cookie dough bites, and I got a root beer, no caffeine, because I didn't want to stay up too late. And sat in my squishy chair, got situated. I think I was in maybe the perfect seat. So I was like in the middle, but in the back middle, like right center. It was just perfect. And then I was surrounded by people, but only one person was beside me on my left. No one was beside me on my right. There's probably it was more full than I thought it'd be on like a Tuesday night at 8 p.m.
Right.
And it was a huge theater. There's also like a Meow Wolf in that area and like all this other stuff going on. But anyway.
You just keep moving to Meow Wolves.
Yeah. I guess I'll go to New Mexico next. No. Or Vegas. But yeah, it was a cool experience. I thought it was going to be scary.
Yeah. Oh, here we go again.
So
not dark enough, not scary enough, not bloody enough.
Did you not think it was going to be a horror movie?
I saw some dumb article that, not dumb, but I assume they do this as a recurring gimmick where they had a scarometer and it was 3/4 of the way up. Yeah, and it was it was relevant because I was going with Jamie, who I was surprised wanted to see it.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, so
because Michael B. Jordan.
Maybe Coogler, the director, maybe Michael B. Jordan, and just maybe that, she liked a lot of the performers. But she was definitely on board to go, and I didn't even tell her the results of that analysis. But that made me think oh, yeah, it might be. I don't look for jump scares in horror movies. We've talked about this a bunch. But there is a level of tension that I do look for in movies that are trying to be tense. I found this more of like an action thriller than a horror. So that's fine though.
Yeah.
I didn't see that as a negative necessarily. But it is interesting seeing horror movies in the theater because you can kind of like feel the palpable tension if it's a Quiet Place type movie.
Well, that's what I was hoping, because when I went to see Hereditary, it was like, like everyone was just like, it just felt like, I don't know, you could just feel it. But this one, it was more kind of comedic, but also like had some gore, but not scary at all.
And high energy and euphoric and like satisfying
visually
in a lot
really
of ways.
Cool.
Yeah, kinetic, like always moving, and just kind of the characters are so fun to spend time with. Like even the bad guys, like pretty much everyone is just like a really electric performer. As far as the IMAX experience, I have heard that the movie like changes aspect ratios a couple of times or like widens out. Did you notice that? And was that cool?
I honestly didn't really notice it. Because I don't know if... So I saw this whole article about how it was filmed specifically for a certain ratio, like aspect ratio. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know the article, but I know it was filmed... Certain sequences are filmed in IMAX, not the entire movie.
Yeah, so I didn't really notice it like changing or anything like that. But man, seeing things on IMAX is pretty cool. I don't do it very often.
Well, it's a giant screen either way, and then basically what IMAX is just like super short and wide aspect ratio. So sometimes movies will have really long sequences in IMAX, like 20 minutes. Other times it'll just be like a couple seconds here and there. Supposedly there's one shot in this movie, maybe during the incredible like past and future present music scene that like changes during the scene.
Yeah, I didn't
like you slowly see it like compacting and widening out. But for the most part, they're like meant to be just kind of like you cut and it's a different aspect ratio briefly for like vista shots and when you want to capture the landscape. But I think the last movie I saw in full in IMAX, well, wasn't Oppenheimer because I saw that in 70 millimeter.
Just kidding.
Wasn't Barbie. It wasn't Avatar 2, but I did see that in IMAX. It was Civil War. And what I took away from the IMAX experience in that case was the sound.
I saw the Bob Dylan one. I think I saw that in IMAX.
Well, how was the sound in your theater?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it was like you were in the movie.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a movie about music.
Yeah,
I mean,
which I had no idea.
as much as it is about vampires.
Yeah.
I didn't either. Jamie was like, I've heard she didn't say it was a musical, but she said something to that effect, and I was like, what? I didn't know, like, music was a big part of it. And
me neither.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to explain the setup for the movie? Like, what's the mythology here?
You can so some people have the talent, incredible talent to play guitar or an instrument or something or sing, and they can bring in creatures that can be good and evil based on past, present, and future as well, which is such a cool concept.
It really, it is. It's like, it perfectly fits thematically with what this movie is going for. We'll get into maybe some of like kind of the pretty obvious but really rich like interpretations of putting these vampire themes in a movie made by a black director and with black performers and Irish villains, but like also clan members who are more one-dimensional villains, and some of the metaphors of appropriation and sucking the life out of other people for your own good are really smartly utilized in the vampire genre. But then you have this other layer that's completely new to the movie, which is the power of Sammy's character to conjure, one, it's a double-edged sword. Like, he can create this euphoric, incredible music that just creates a transcendent experience for the people listening, but it opens the gateway to evil. It's not really like, we're not like blaming him, but his father is the preacher.
Right. But those characters started, like the vampire and those characters started appearing before he was playing. So like, it just made it more apparent of like what they want. Like, they knew he was now like a target because he could help them, right?
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, they come to that location. I mean, they've been maybe doing this in other places, but I think we are supposed to assume that they arrive at the opening of this new juke joint because the music is calling to them. Yeah. And Remick, the lead vampire, sees this as an opportunity to connect with people from his past that he has lost or whatever by basically like stealing the powers of Sammy or leeching off of them, however you want to kind of characterize it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that mythology was awesome. Miles Catton plays Sammy, and he's sort of like a child prodigy from a musical sense, but not known as an actor. So what did you think of Sammy?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So is this his debut movie, like his first time acting? Did it say like introducing this guy? Like I don't remember if it was his first.
Yeah. So based on Wikipedia, he's been active as a singer for nearly all of his life, but he first came to national prominence on Little Big Shots in 2018, which is a variety show produced by Steve Harvey and Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, he was great. And his voice is incredible, obviously.
Did it surprise you?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was way deeper. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was him or not. And I was like, well, it wouldn't make sense to like have him be the lead and then him actually not be able to sing, but maybe. But yeah, no idea.
Yeah, so the movie is structured on like this kind of common trope of starting the morning after, and he shows up at the church where his dad is the pastor, bloodied and holding the broken, neck of the guitar, his beloved guitar. Yeah. What did you think of that, like opening it like that?
I was just like, yes, let's go.
And then it's like, and then what does it say on the title card? Like early, then the night before, or the day before?
Yeah, the day before.
Yeah. And this is 1932, Mississippi? Where are we
October 16th, 1932. I don't want to say Mississippi if it's Missouri, but...
It's in the Deep South in the height of racial
Mississippi
mistreatment.
Delta.
Yeah.
Specifically the town of Clarksdale.
Okay. Yeah. So set in the South, they are sharecroppers on a plantation, picking cotton by day. And then on some nights, he's able to get away and perform to the dismay of his father. His father would probably support him playing music, gospel music in the context of the church, but definitely doesn't support him going to bars where people are sinning. Kind of what's so interesting about this mythological setup that you mentioned is up until the very end, literally the post end of the movie, it's making a pretty strong case that he should have just stopped playing music.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, is that really going to be the takeaway?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. Did you know that there was going to be like 2 minutes after the credits? I didn't either, but then everyone stayed seated, and I was like, well, I guess I'll stay seated as well.
Thank goodness you stayed, yeah. Well, the way they do it, it's not like a Marvel movie where it's just credit. There's music playing,
right?
And then like 30 seconds,
and the lights didn't go up, so
yeah.
But I was still like, oh, everyone else is seating. Maybe they know something I don't know.
Yeah. So we get like, we'll talk about the post-credit scene, but it makes it pretty clear that not only did he not stop playing music, that was kind of the only choice for him. But, after like halfway through the movie, he's kind of like, yeah, just take me. Like, if you're here for me, I'm willing to sacrifice myself for the well-being of the rest of the people at the bar. But anyway, yeah, so I thought that like that internal tension was set up really well. And then the other emotional heart of the movie, one of the other ones, is of course Michael B. Jordan's twin performance as Smoke and Stack. What did you think of his introduction and then him playing two characters?
He's great.
Yeah.
And that wasn't advertised in the trailer, was it? I didn't really watch the trailer, so I don't know if you even knew he was two people and had a twin or whatever.
I didn't know. I
had no idea.
I'm sure I'm sure a lot of people did.
Okay.
If they were paying attention to promotional.
If they like kept it a secret the whole time.
Yeah, I doubt they were able to keep it a secret in the lead up to the movie. Or I mean, that was probably part of the marketing, but it was a surprise to me. And for a second, the way they introduced him with kind of like his hat down, fedora or whatever he's wearing. I was like, is that? I think that's supposed to be him.
I thought it took me a second. I was like, yep, okay, they're okay,
yeah. We learn about their backstory and their abuse as children.
As children, yeah.
Yeah.
You got it. No, they were very good.
Yeah.
Trying to think. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a lot of movies, and
he's been in every Ryan Coogler movie.
I'd say he was like in Creed and all those movies, which I haven't seen, and that's Ryan Coogler. Yeah. But I just couldn't. I was like, I haven't seen him in a ton, but I know people love him.
So Coogler's first movie in 2013 was Fruitvale Station, a kind of a dramatization of a young black man who was shot and killed by police officers in like 2008 or 2009, right at the start and of the most recent wave of fighting back against police brutality and protesting against acts like this. The movie Fruitvale Station came out the same year that like Trayvon Martin was killed and other prominent. I mean, it's pretty much nonstop, but that movie was made for a really low budget with a very young Michael B. Jordan, and they've been working together in every movie he's made since.
Wow.
But he went straight from that into like
Marvel
blockbuster franchise filmmaking.
Yeah.
And this was his first chance to take a breather and make something that was more personal to him. So what do you like? How did you like this movie as like a vampire movie or a horror action movie? Because you said it wasn't scary, but did you find it just effective as a type of movie?
I thought it was overall. I was texting with my friend about it because she also went to see it. Overall, I thought it was a good movie. I will recommend it to people. I thought it was really well done. The music's incredible.
Yeah.
Definitely not scary at all. And I wanted it to be scary. And that's why I was kind of really excited to see a movie by myself for the first time. I was like, it's going to be horror. It's going to be a whole different experience. And that was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's just because I expected it to be like a Hereditary or, something like, I was just like, oh, it's going to be terrifying. And it wasn't at all. But that aside, not saying I wouldn't even classify it really as horror. It just has like some gore and like gory elements. I think it was really effective. The music's incredible. The acting's really good. It was really funny at times. The stories were touching. Like when he had to kill his like love, I was just like, that got me pretty good. But yeah, overall, I think it's just, I wish I'd gone into it thinking more it was just like a vampire movie, but not thinking it was going to be like terrifying. Because it made me, I had to readjust my expectations pretty aggressively.
Yeah, if you take like The Lost Boys, or there's another vampire siege movie called Near Dark from the 80s, or maybe even 1990, or Dusk Till Dawn, which a lot of people are comparing this to.
And that's when you say took it from Dusk Till Dawn and from The Faculty, which obviously I love The Faculty.
Yeah. But I mean, like, those are just broadly, I don't know if people would call those horror movies or not.
Like thrillers.
Yeah, or even, action thriller. Mm-hmm. That's your own baggage. That's fair. And it can be distracting or like not the exact experience that you kind of plan for. That's a huge part of going into anything. So that's interesting. What did your friend say?
She also expected it to be a super horror movie, so we were both disappointed in that aspect. I think because the way the trailers, it just seems like it's going to be really scary. Yeah. But it's not. So,
Well, I mean, it's not scary, but there's tension. I mean, I would say if I was looking for things to critique about the movie, it would be like post. So there's the incredible performance scene in the bar where Sammy performs and burns the roof down pretty much metaphorically, but that's like with the like we're seeing it from the outside.
That's the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah, and it's one take, so it's a winner. I'll everything.
Winner.
Yeah, and we're going to like different corners of the bar, and in some corners there's like twerking happening, and pardon me for not knowing what how to classify all these different eras and styles of music, but the way it's just like seamlessly woven in to the setting is incredible. Some people are wearing futuristic looking clothes. Some people are wearing traditional African historic clothes. And they're dancing in all different to the same music that Sammy's playing. And so it actually captures the promise of the mythological, like premise that it sets up, and like visualizes that in a way that I had never seen before. I'd say that's
Oh, I even in my text to my friend, I had sent like a few sentences, and one of the sentences was about that. I was like, that was the best part of the whole movie. Like, that was incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with that. So if it's a bad thing to have the best part of the movie 45 minutes in, then fair enough. I would say the way the whole kind of like siege and like action sequence goes down either feels abrupt or feels within each like fight and sequence of it isn't like the most satisfying single piece of action, like self-contained action that I've seen before. I mean,
I was hoping for more of like I didn't think the majority of people would live and they would like get up to their cars and be fine and drive away. Which obviously, I guess at one point you just see them all, because it seemed like they all left and like nothing happened to them, but they all got turned into vampires. But I was hoping for like, kind of like a 30 Days of Night scene where you just see everyone getting like massacred and then come back to life like at the same time, or something cool,
right?
Visually.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting, but I did like them like singing and chanting outside in the forest. Like, that was pretty scary.
Yeah.
And like coming together, and you're like, oh shit, like stuff's about to happen. So there's certain elements I really liked. It's just, the scare factor. The scarometer was a 1 out of 10. But the acting was great. I also wanted more music, I think. Like more songs. Because he sang that one, and then she sang another one. But there was a lot of like banjo or something playing while people were having dialogue, and it was really distracting to me. So I wanted it to be like music, singing and stuff, and then like dialogue. I don't know. That's hard for me.
Yeah, and that might have been obviously that was a choice, but it might have been magnified
by IMAX.
The IMAX, yeah, because I've heard other accounts that it's like super immersive from an audio standpoint, and that's cool, but
it was a little distracting for me. I was like, it kind of took me out of the movie, because I was like, I don't know. I was just a little distracted.
Yeah, I think this movie gets the hard part right, which is like making you actually care about the characters and interested in the relationship between Smoke and Stack, and between their romantic partners, and between Sammy and his dad, even like all the different character dynamics are you're completely invested in these characters, and that's usually where horror movies fail or don't bother.
Yeah.
And then they might be more effective at the sequences of prolonged tension. Like, one of the most tense scenes in the movie isn't even really supposed to be, is it Smoke that gets turned first?
I honestly don't know.
Okay. Well, when Michael B. Jordan's character gets turned into a vampire by Haley Steinfeld, who we haven't mentioned yet.
Yep.
Incredible breakout coming of age performance by her. One of them gets turned after her and him have sex, and then it's got to be Stack, because
I shouldn't remember.
That's who she ends up with. I mean, that's who she's always
with.
off and on with. So anyway, they are hooking up in the storeroom or whatever, and then they lock him in there once they realize what's going on.
Yeah.
And then he stabs a hole in the door, and multiple characters go up to that hole.
I know, it's so stressful.
And are like holding their eye there, right where a knife or whatever had just come out.
It's the nail in the it's the nail in the staircase in
Quiet
Place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are like, that's like a horror type little gimmick that is very effective. And for whatever reason, Coogler doesn't like dial that up in very many different points in the movie.
And there's places he could easily do that, and I would have liked that. But
another really tense scene is when Haley Steinfeld goes out to negotiate or to talk to them, trying to get some money out of them. Basically, she doesn't know they're evil or dangerous. Mm-hmm. And it's a really tense conversation because we know what they are, but there's a lot of moments where Coogler like kind of cuts away right before the scary thing happens, and we see her walking away, and it is sort of a jump scare or a scary moment when we see a vampire like flying into the air and about to pounce on her, and we cut away before the
yeah, but I'd like to see that. Same with Cornbread, who I love.
That's what I was going to say. Like that was a perfect setup for, it could have been if the movie was more interested in dragging out him getting attacked while he's peeing in the woods.
Yeah.
But like in multiple cases, the movie chooses instead to go back to the characters in the bar and have them show up. And now the tension is just like, are they going to realize that they've been turned? Like, how are they going to negotiate or navigate that scene? Are they going to invite them in?
Yeah. I didn't like it felt kind of cheap to me. Like, oh, you can't come in, the whole inviting them in, and then she like yells from the inside. That one woman's like, let them come in, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, this is how it's going to happen. Like, it just felt very, like, that whole scene I didn't care for at all.
So what they choose and don't choose to adhere to from vampire lore is, it's not like they invented that rule.
No, I know.
But they could have left it out, and they could, that's just a common, like, sort of suspension of logic that you do in vampire mythology if they choose to have that role. So I think it worked pretty effectively in this like single setting environment, but I totally agree that I did have to go to the bathroom during the 2-hour 17 runtime, and I came back right as she was right before the big action climax, basically. And I mean, I was gone for like 30 seconds, so I don't think I missed anything, but I did find that they had effectively emotionally manipulated her by threatening her kid after they turned and stole the thoughts out of her husband. Mm-hmm. So that felt believable, but the way it happened was abrupt for sure. Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of things with this movie that could have built up the tension, eased into, and then like had like chaos at some point. It just never felt like, it didn't like ebb and flow the way I would want it to.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jamie was also mentioning maybe not being 100% satisfied with the pacing of the movie. I don't think length is the issue because I was never bored. It's more just dramatic tension.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's something, again, I just think these were choices. If we move the lever up of the elements you're describing, then we might lose something else. If you can have it all, sure. But I was happy with the notes that Coogler was playing here.
Yeah, I am nice. Good music choice. Yeah. I just think, I'm going to say it, this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I don't agree with these Rotten Tomatoes scores at all. I don't think it should be getting like 98%, 95%. I don't know. I liked it. I just don't think it's like as incredible as people are saying.
This is backwards, but
best reviewed movie of all time. Yeah, Lady Bird was incredible.
Yeah, I noticed that a minute ago.
But it's just not. I thought it was a great movie, and I will definitely like recommend it to my friends to watch. But I just didn't. I don't know. It fell a little flat for me, which is a bummer.
Yeah, I think there's been this interesting on your expectations for what type of movie it is can factor in.
For sure.
going into a movie, if people that are going to go see it in the next week or, the next couple weeks, now that it's getting such buzz, like now it's going to be overhyped. I mean, that's the more common kind of like second wave of backlash is like something is super hyped and then it turns out to not be the best movie of all time. So I could see that happening. The other thing is like there seems to be this competing interest in celebrating that a black filmmaker and an all-black cast is getting to highlight aspects of their culture and obviously wanting to root for Coogler, but he is being explicitly critical of the studio system and cultural appropriation. And so there was an interesting range of articles about the box office, for instance, some saying like it did really well, but it's probably not going to be profitable, or like, and people like looking for ways almost to critique it from a business standpoint. Because maybe out of defensiveness or being threatened by the success of a black filmmaker. Obviously, I'm not putting any of this on you. I just mean like there does seem to be it's going to be polarizing even to critique it like you're doing, because obviously we want to make more movies and we want more diverse filmmakers and stories being told. Yeah. But that doesn't mean it's perfect.
No. And I think, I mean, even going into it, just thinking in my head, it'd be like, okay, it's getting crazy reviews and it's a horror movie. Yeah. So like in my head, I was already like, all right, I'm going to be scared. I'm going to chill and watch this and be terrified. And then I wasn't. And so that was tough for me because I really wanted a horror movie, like a true horror movie. Yeah. But yeah, from a standpoint of just going into it being like, oh, it's going to be a thriller. There's vampires in it. There'll be some blood. Whatever, but it's a really interesting story. And I even think you could have made the movie, it was never boring, and I would have maybe liked it to be a little bit longer, which I usually don't say, just because I want more music and I wanted a little bit more history. But like I wanted to know what happened in Chicago. Yeah. Like I think that's interesting. Like, like the characters in general were really interesting. But
so I could talk about this all day, but it is easy to, I think this is to the credit of the movie that it doesn't have to do this, and it probably won't, but like you could easily imagine a prequel series. You could imagine the adventures of Smoke or Stack and Mary in the intervening time that we're going to talk about in a second from the post-credit sequence. But like I think this is or just Smoke and Stack's time in Chicago, the twin bros versus the mafia and the Irish.
Yeah, I mean, he said that I was reading some trivia, and it said that he wanted to be like a holistic and like finished thing. So it's just like one movie. It's not going to be like a whole, which makes sense. It was just a bunch of interesting stories, and I felt like there were so many interesting stories. It was like, it'd be cool to hear more about them instead of just like snippets of like all these crazy things that the brothers were up to.
Well, again, exactly. I just think like, you have a finite amount of time. The best case scenario is that people want to know more. Yeah. Then there's like, they don't care about the backstory of these characters. Even if we don't get it. Right. You can't get it all, but at least the movie, I think, is successful because you want it.
I also wanted more evil creatures. It doesn't have to just be vampires. Like, you could have released this whole thing by playing music, Like, it's just like an interesting, because I didn't know I knew it was like had vampires in it, but I was like, I wonder if it's going to release, like the way the movie opened, I was like, maybe there's an opportunity for like other types of creatures to appear too, which would be cool. Because he's like releasing this whole wave of something evil.
Yeah, they reference like Hates is the demon that they think this is before they realize it's vampires, because of the, I guess, not having to be invited in thing is maybe the tip off. And then they use garlic to fight them, and then they stake them and use
silver bullets to slow them down
in the sunlight. So they end up becoming pretty traditionally following most of the traditional vampire lore by the end. But I agree that could have been cool. Let's talk about the final scene. We jump ahead 60 years from 32 to 92, right?
60 years? Oh, because then you'd be like 75, 80. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we jump ahead to Chicago. Sammy is at a bar having just performed. And then what happens?
And then the twin, which one? Smoke shows up?
It's Stack.
Stack shows up with Haley Steinfeld's character, who I forgot her name. Do you remember her name?
Mary.
Mary. Oh, yeah, Mary. So they show up and they have a great conversation at the bar, and they don't kill him like I thought they were going to.
So you actually thought he was in danger there?
For a second, yeah. Because I was like, are they finishing their job? I was like, but don't they need him? I don't know. I was also unclear of, like, they needed him to be alive to, like, keep the music going so they could stay alive or something. There's, like, some tie-in there. You know, like, I wasn't sure of, like, how powerful he was. If he kept playing, like, is it helpful to them? So...
Yeah, I mean, my interpretation is that Smoke made Stack promise that he would keep Sammy safe, that he would not kill Sammy himself.
Yeah.
But we can take it a level further and assume that they are acutely aware of Sammy's movements because he's basically had a 60-year music career at this point, and he's still playing, and they listen to his record, like, so we know he's like a popular artist, and he's been conjuring these spirits and transcending, you know, these different periods in the same way that we see in the movie for decades. So either they've been protecting him, or he's just been lucky, or whatever, but like, they've definitely been aware of him the whole time, and I assume they were just kind of like following him and you know, keeping him safe.
Yeah, that's a good assumption. I liked it was like such a friendly, like, cordial hangout, and then they just left.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I didn't really feel any tension or know if it was supposed to be tense. But did you like that? I mean, that they survived and they made it?
Yeah, I did. Special delivery. It's another DVD.
Yep, it's Jamie.
Hi, James.
Yep.
She probably can't hear me.
No, she can't.
Okay, cool. I couldn't tell because your hair is like protecting whatever AirPods or whatever you have in.
Yeah.
But I was also going to say, because we didn't talk about Smoke's ending at all.
No, we didn't. Yeah, what did you think of their final confrontation?
Badass.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, use that military training and just kill everyone. It was sweet. And when he held his son, the flashback, or like while he was like dying and he had to like hold his son that had passed away, that was pretty emotional. I was like, so there were some good, really
sorry,
good.
I thought you meant.
Oh no,
I was thinking of their fight, but
no, their fight
you don't see that much of it.
Fine. Yeah, it was fine. No, I'm talking about him taking down like 45 KKK members.
yeah, that was awesome. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, we didn't really touch on what the Irish, villain was after. I mean, we did touch on it, but like the fact that he's probably been subject to a lot of racism and hate at that time period. Still not exactly a sympathetic character because he's just repeating the cycle of violence and appropriation. But the Klan's people sell them this barn location, and their plan is just to come back and kill them all.
Everyone.
Yeah. So
it's really messed up.
We get to, and I guess it's the vampire that tells them that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we find that out, and then we get the satisfaction of seeing him kind of like get revenge.
Yeah, which is awesome. And then
but it was crazy that they were coming like that same night.
Yeah, the next day. It was like it was the next morning. But yeah, that scene was incredible, and he had to reunite with his family. So it was just kind of a beautiful ending for him as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, again, the movie does a great job of making you care about the characters. I did hear one critique of the post-credits scene that sort of like makes it a little happily ever after for all the characters. Everyone kind of gets like a nice happy ending.
But that sweater though.
Yeah. The sweater's incredible. Haley Steinfeld's, 1/8 black appropriation of
Yeah.
Culture is as appropriate as anyone's was in the early 90s, I'm sure. So, yeah, I thought I didn't have that reaction myself. It was kind of like, I'm glad we made it through the night, and then Sammy deserves to I was glad to learn that he played music, basically.
Yeah,
and then
but that didn't stop him.
Yeah, I didn't think too much about the other ramifications.
What about his dad? That means because he left that day, didn't he? Didn't he like,
presumably
take the car and leave? Yeah. So that's kind of sad, but.
All right, well, let's wrap up there.
Okay.
We'll be back in a week or two to talk about
Not
the
Black
studio
Mirror.
Potentially, or what did you say?
So not Black Mirror.
Yeah, probably not Black Mirror, but either the studio or kick off Film 2000, as I keep teasing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But that's it for New Release. You can subscribe by searching New Release on Apple or Spotify or any other podcast platform. Ashley?
That's it.
Nailed it.